What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. In the recent days, obviously, we've been on full alert for Paul Pogba and Di Maria, but a new challenger has arrived for the place of one of the more interesting gifts that Juventus could end up going after. That is that of Luis Muriel of Atalanta. We're going to talk about him as well as some of the other options that the Bianconeri are interested in bringing in during the Mercado. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today, it's Friday, May 27th, 2022, and of course I got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day. Before we get into it though, will you please guys do me a favor, hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. When I say that, it really does help our channel to continue to grow, but most importantly, if you see above me right over here, I believe it's right there, you will see that we are now almost in the final stretch of the run to, 3K subscribers. We need about 195 more subscribers right now to get to 3K. We're hoping you guys will join us as we are now going to hit a lot of news for Juventus. A lot of stuff's going to be hitting out there, especially with the Pogba stuff, the Di Maria. Might as well get a leg up and go ahead and join our community and what we do here. And that's a real big part of what we love about this channel. Excuse me, I couldn't even get it out. What we love about this channel is it's not just that it's an audience kind of thing. You're not here for me. You're here for Juventus. What we have here is a community, and that's what makes us different than almost any other YouTube channel. When it comes to this, it's about the community, not about the person or the individual. So stick with us. We'll fill you in. We'll be there each step of the way, and consider joining the member squad while you're at it. Let's jump into it. What news do we have for you today? And that is, of course, the first bit is talking about Luis Muriel. Gazzetta dello Sport reporting saying that Juventus asked Alessandro Lucci for information on Muriel before starting negotiations with Atalanta. From Bergamo, the evaluation is around 15 to 20 million euros. The Bianconeri would like to spend less, about 10 to 15 instead, kind of going back to what they'd like to spend on that of Alvaro Morata. So if they couldn't get Alvaro Morata down from 35 to 15ish, 20, then they'll see if they can do this with Muriel. He says Muriel is used to the bench. Out of 39 appearances, 23 of them were as a starter this last season, and has a salary of no more than 2 million euros. For Juventus, this would be much more saving than compared to buying Morata, both in terms of the price tag and the salary. This will be an interesting watch. Muriel is obviously a solid player there at Atalanta. He's definitely done some damage in the past to Juventus and then a couple other teams there as well. So it'll be interesting to watch, especially given Atalanta's failure to make the top four, when they were in the hunt for a majority of the first half, 3/4 of the season, to fall as they did. Muriel probably will want an out there and probably want to find a good landing spot for him to continue playing at a higher level. So that'd be interesting to watch. Let me know your thoughts. Do you like Muriel as a player for Juventus? Write it down in the comment section down below. All right, let's continue on and talk about De Ligt and his situation that's developing at Juventus. Corriere dello Sport reporting about the new deal, about how it's getting done, saying that Juventus want to extend De Ligt's contract. The idea is being to increase it by a year and the same price, both for tax reasons and so as not to find themselves in a difficult situation in any future negotiations. We've had plenty of those, obviously, right? It goes on to say that Premier League and Barcelona are interested in De Ligt. The main issue is the clause, which is currently 125 million euros and will be 140 million in a year's time. This agent is asking for it to be lowered to about 75 to 80 million. So, obviously, the big issue here is when you're lowering this clause. I honestly think that the smart thing, maybe the safe thing, they could just lower it to like 90 mil. I think 90 mil would be a reasonable one for both sides. And the reason I say that is because you can't, or you shouldn't, if you're Juventus, it doesn't make sense to lower the release clause to an amount that's less than what you purchased him for. And to me, I think his stock has only gone up since he's arrived at Juventus. I don't think that people look at him as a worse player. I know there's a couple out there. I know there's a couple of you that are vocal in the comment section about it, but I just think you're flat out wrong, if I'm being honest. So when it comes to this, I think what would be smart would be that if you're dropping it to like 70 or whatever million, that's kind of ridiculous just because Juventus are end up taking a loss in the long term. All right, let's move on from De Ligt and let's move on to another situation in the defense of somebody that they could bring in, and that would be that of Destiny Udogie. Ekrem Koner had an update regarding Juventus's push for the left back, especially given Romeo Agresti's kind of comments that put a lot of people either up in arms or in depression mode, saying that Emerson Palmieri was the main target. But here, Ekrem says Juventus are preparing to make a 20 million euro offer to Udinese for Destiny Udogie. So this will be interesting to see the way that this plays out, given especially yesterday the reports were that Destiny Udogie is a player that they expect to try to keep there. I'd expect them they probably would try to get 30 million if they could, but I feel like a 20 million euro offer is fair. It's fair from Juventus, and we'll see how this ends up panning out. I guess it would probably be a little bit more back and forth with them for the player. But especially given, like I said, they put out kind of a report just saying they're willing to sell Molina, but Udogie they want to keep for another season. So hopefully things will go accordingly, and hopefully they will end up being willing to sell to Juventus, because I really, really like what Udogie brings to the table. All right, let's continue on though. More center backs or defense overall topics. This time we're talking about Koulibaly of Napoli. Tuttosport reporting that Koulibaly is in the balance at Napoli, and Juventus are also joining the race. Allegri would like him for the defense that lost Chiellini. However, Barcelona also like him, and Chelsea cannot be ruled out. So there's obviously going to be a lot of competition there. My personal opinion when it comes to this, and I apologize, I keep clearing my throat into the mic. I can't help it today. It's one of those days. The allergy season is hitting hard. Overall, what I would say in the situation is that it would almost, I won't say shock me, but it would be more surprising to me if Juventus are able to get a deal done and to bring Koulibaly into Juve from Napoli, especially to try to deal with De Laurentiis and all the stuff. My personal opinions when it comes to Napoli, what I think about them, and I just think if you're all the things we talked about with Lotito and the issues there, and trying to get a guy with Lazio, I think even doubly or even worse about Napoli. So I just don't see, to me, and not that it's a non-starter, because the player is obviously a very talented player that would be able to do good things for Juventus's, obviously defense, and especially losing Chiellini. But at the same time, I just see it being a really, really hard road to get this one to fall through into the right places to, get, like I said, Swamp Man to come to the table and have an agreement with Juventus for a sale. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. But as it stands right now, I'd say don't get your hopes up. That's my personal opinion. All right, let's continue on and talk about another player of Juventus's, and that is Arthur. They're trying to get him out of here. But will it all be smooth sailing with Arsenal? Tuttosport report saying that Arthur wants to leave. Arsenal was already strongly interested in January. Still now, without the Champions League, though, they will have to downsize their purchasing campaign unless the Gunners are open to including Gabriel in a deal. So this is kind of something I talked about yesterday, just about the situation going on with Arthur. It seems like like I said, country, whatever. He was a shoo-in, if you will, to go to Arsenal to be a player for them. They're always, going after Juve players, if you will. But at the same time, now that they have less money to allocate toward this, it's going to have to be some kind of potential deal there. Gabriel would be the option that I would go with, because the other one, Thomas Partey, I don't know how. I don't know that I ever see him getting back to the level that a lot of people appreciated him at a couple years ago, or really valued him at being. And then also, I just don't want to get stuck in a situation where Juventus continue playing hot potato and passing along not worse trades, but just mid trades, if you will, and just really doing nothing with this kind of, the spot since Pjanic departed. So we'll see what happens there. Gabriel could be a solid option. I don't know how long he could be really a good, I don't know that he could be a great defender, how high his ceiling is, but I think, we'll see how many years or whatever they end up making that deal work out to be, if that is a way that they end up going. All right, let's continue on with another player. And I know I keep saying I need to work on my segues, because all I keep saying are let's talk about another player. So I'll work on those segues, guys. Don't you worry about it. It's bothering me. Maybe it doesn't bother you as much. But we can talk about Nicola Ravella, one of the young players with the club, who potentially could be playing in the future. We'll see how his future pans out. But Tuttosport are reporting that Ravella will be in training camp and will probably take part in the U.S. tour. Then the necessary evaluations will be made, and the best solution will be chosen. So as the situation stands right now, it seems that Rovella is obviously in the race with Moretti and alongside Fagioli, though I feel like his stars kind of dimmed a little bit. I almost felt like if he would have made the move and would have been able to come into Juve in the winter alongside Zakaria and all that, then maybe it would have been a better position for him to be in. Now it almost feels like he's playing from behind when it comes to those other players. This is one of those situations, though, that I will be very interested to monitor, not only because of the player, because of the hype around him, but also because obviously Juventus are coming to play in the United States of America, my home country, where I live, where you bet your sweet bleep that I will be out there at the games watching it. If I get a chance to finally see them in person in my own country, you know that I'll be there. I think if we're lucky, it'll be an area maybe in the Northeast somewhere-ish, maybe even Michigan, I know, where Julian and myself could meet up and you can get a different, cool, new content from the Bianconeri Zone kind of actually together in person, which will be wild because we're so used to doing it through a computer. So make sure you tune in through that when they have more information and updates regarding the North American campaign. We'll definitely share that with you all. All right, let's get on about Moise Kean and his future when it comes to the club. As Gazzetta dello Sport, I don't know why I say that. Like, I'm not going to talk about his future otherwise. Like, who's his wife? Who's his kid? Is he going to have kids? Anything like that? Anyway, Juventus will buy Moise Kean for 28 million euros, the option, but plan to sell him immediately. Juventus are looking to replace him with Raspadori or Kostic on the left. Okay, this is a situation where I like Kostic as a player. I think he can be solid, but this is my personal, maybe my personal crutch, my personal issue. I'm a really big proponent of Raspadori. I really like what he can bring to the club, and of course, the Italian thing, you know how I am. To me, it would be a disservice. I'd be really disappointed. So if you're going to go ahead and get Di Maria, okay, fine. Then I would say bring in Raspadori. Kostic would be behind him probably. So I think in that situation, I would say bring in Raspadori. I say that almost every situation. I'd rather have Raspadori at Juventus than Kostic if it's between those two. I like Kostic, but it's just saying if it's between the two, right now, that's my one almost main investment in this Mercado is Raspadori. He's the one player that I really just like. It's a fun option that I want to see that I think can be big for the future, that I think can be big for the Azzurri, that I think can do a lot of good things, and I think if you can get this player, sign me the heck up. And that's where I am. You guys may disagree with me. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think my opinion is dumb. You can say it in a nice way. You can say it in a hurtful way. Either way, it doesn't matter. But that's where I sit with it. If you're gonna sell out, or if you're gonna trade off Moise Kean somewhere, then I think Raspadori should be the option. If it's between those two, that's my personal flag, and that's where I'm putting it in the ground, and I'll stand by that till the end of the Mercado if it needs to be. So we'll see what happens there. Again, you can do anything else with the Mercado. Pogba, whatever. When it came to the midfield overall, Pogba, Milinkovic-Savic, the options there. Obviously, I like. I'm not pushing for Jorginho or anything like that, but I think out of some of the other options, the secondary options, Paredes like that, I'd rather have Jorginho. But definitely in the first one, you could have Pogba or Milinkovic-Savic. I'm happy either way, to be honest. You're not going to get me. I'm not going to cry about either one if we're getting one of them. But when it comes to this, I think Raspadori, to me, is the only one that really sticks out. Otherwise, Juventus can have their fun the rest of their Mercado. Not that I have any kind of say when it comes to, how they spend their money. Anyway, let's go on and talk about a guy you don't want to talk about. You don't want to talk about him. You don't want to talk about his future. Actually, there may be a couple. We'll see. This one, Tutto Sports reporting. Basically, that Juve would gladly sell Alexandro. No freaking bleep. We know that. Of course they would. If they wouldn't, then I'd be checking what's going on with the overall, mindset. Have they lost their minds? Are they mentally insane if they wanted to keep him? But anyway, Juve would gladly sell Alexandro while the Brazilian currently prefers to stay in Turin and then free himself in a year's time. So of course he does, and of course you're probably going to get a situation where he plays. He's kind of the AH in the situation. He wants to make his money for a year. He's not going to move. He doesn't care. He can just go and he's free next season. So you're going to be stuck with him for one more season. Another disappointing season of Alexandro playing on the left. And we'll see what it goes there. Hopefully if they can get an Udogi in there, they can just sit him on the bench and say, that's fine, take your money, but we're going to play a player that's actually worth a damn in the situation. All right, that's what I have with Alexandro. Let's move to the next one, and that is the one that's really, again, not going to be a happy one for you all, and that is Aaron Ramsey. We have Tutto Sport reporting saying that Aaron Ramsey, for example, will return from a loan but not stay in Turin to live out the last year of his contract as a separate at home. The feeling is that he will return to work on the termination of his contract. The club will need to pay him out. Again, you shouldn't care. I don't care. I don't care what happens to Aaron Ramsey, but at the same time, it's good to know that Juventus are not going to be stuck with him for his last season. They are strongly considering this determination, so paying him out for that final year and being like, get out of here. Get out of here. We don't want to see you. You're useless. Obviously, if you saw him in the game that he played where he missed that penalty, useless player, and that is what happens with Aaron Ramsey. So I'll be happy to never have to mention his name again, which I'm sure we will, but in a manner of speaking of tactics or anything like that for Juventus, I'm glad I won't have to do that. All right, guys, that'll do it for the news today that we have so far regarding all things Juventus, all the news that you care about. Hopefully, we'll see how this Mercado develops. Hopefully, it's not a letdown in the end. Hopefully, it's something that we can all be excited for and give us some hope for the future moving forward into next season that they can be competitive and bring themselves back to the top, winning the Scudetto once more. Let me know in the comment section down below any of your thoughts and opinions on all the things we talked about. If you haven't already, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, join our community, do all the stuff we do here. Consider joining the member squad as well, and also hit that bell icon to stay notified for all our latest videos. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter, and of course at Bianconeri Zone. Follow at Bianconeri Zone Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. We're everywhere right now. But otherwise, guys, we'll see you next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.